All right, starting a little late tonight, it is 7:08. I will call the Thursday, May 2nd, 2024 Village Board meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you and welcome to our guests and anybody that might be listening online. The next item would be the roll call.
Trustee Eipert. Here. Trustee Front. Here. Trustee Abedlin.
Here.
President Gerke.
Here.
Trustee Dorwart.
Here.
Trustee Bartz. Here. Trustee Miley.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, hearing that we have a quorum, we will continue. Next item is public comments. This is for anything that's not on the agenda. I once again let everybody know that they're limited to 5 minutes per person. And if anybody has any public comments to make, please step up to the mic so that anybody that might be tuning in, which there is nobody, might be able to hear your question as well. All right, hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda consisting of approving the minutes of April 18th board organizational meeting, April 18th, 2024 village board meeting, general fund, water and sewer invoices, and approving a fireworks permit for Chrome Fireworks, their application for the 150th anniversary celebration.
I move to approve the consent agenda with 4 said items on it.
Second.
Ooh. I have him. All right. Any questions? I'm sorry, my iPad just went berserk.
No additional bills.
No additional bills. No. All right, I'll call a question. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Give me 1 second. I want to bring this packet back up. It's the day of technology issues here. All right. Next, we have the presentation and acceptance of donation from Port Washington State Bank. And I don't know, who am I turning this over to, or you want?
We have some wonderful guests here from Port Washington State Bank. We have been kind of hinting at this donation coming for the past couple months here. We're very excited to have them as our guests, and of course, this investment here on this awesome recreational project here in the village. So I'll just turn a couple minutes over to the Showalters and let them explain why they're here.
Do that.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Problem speaking, so.
Go ahead.
But
Yeah, hit the button and turn it on if you would. It turns
we
itself
got
off.
green lights or,
Perfect.
Excellent.
okay. Okay, well, thanks. So I'm Dan Showalter, President and Chief Operating Officer of the bank. And obviously, we've been a proud physical resident of Fredonia since 1994, when we purchased what was then a Valley/M&I bank in the village. And so we just love Fredonia, we love what's going on. And these two gentlemen, Dan and Christoph, brought us awareness on a project that you have been planning up here with a collaboration with your Parks and Recreation. And we kind of fell in love. And we were really looking for projects in the northern communities as part of our 125th anniversary. So this particular year, my family and our corporation is celebrating 12.5 decades of business in the county. We're the only bank still headquartered in the county. There are no other banks headquartered here. We are the last remaining independent bank that is in the county and operating here. And so when this splash pad idea came up, we just fell in love with it. We certainly were energized by these two individuals who said this village is looking to grow. It's looking to welcome families. And certainly we don't have a brand for our philanthropy, but what we do know is when we invest in our parks and our community and kind of this Wisconsin way of life that we enjoy, good things come. And so when we saw the designs, it just made us fall in love, as I said earlier. And we're pleased to announce that we are gifting $25,000 outright. And we are doing a match campaign where we will match another $25,000. And we need the community's help to bring that latter part full circle to really get this project to its intended timeline, which is breaking ground maybe later this year, early next year. That'd be great. I'll let you do that. Aptly named, it's going to be called
The PWSB splash zone.
So no more
splash pad.
Splash Zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zone.
So
Me too.
we're really excited to bring this amenity to Fredonia. And we have another large project that you will all be considering next Monday. And to our physical campus, and we hope that that is an indication of our true belief in this community and giving back to everybody in Fredonia, because this community is truly belonging to us. And we're just trying to repay those favors little by little. So that's it.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to say thank you to all of you. I mean, you've been instrumental not only with this project, but also other projects that we've brought forward over the years, over the last couple of years, starting to really make Fredonia be a home for people again. I think one of the biggest things that I stressed when I first got on the board and when I first started doing the Parks and Rec was the fact that I wanted my kids to be in a community where they didn't need to go outside of the community to find something to do and to have a good time and make memories. And I really, through your support, be it from the first Fun Before the Fourth that we did, to any other things that we're doing, the splash pad in general. And
donations.
yeah, technology donations. I mean, we had the movies in the park. You guys contributed a significant amount to that as well. It's really brought a sense of community and a sense of welcoming to this community that I have noticed since I've been here. I've only been here since 2016, but I really have seen, because of the gifts that you guys have been able to do, I've really seen this village move forward in that aspect. So sincerely, I thank you so much. I think this is a great next step, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dad, did you have anything else you'd like to share?
Oh, not a whole lot to add, what he said, I certainly second everything, since we came to the community in '94, as he noted, we've seen tremendous growth, support from everyone here. And we want to pay it back and pay it forward. And so now we'll be leaving our communities to recreate up in Vermont.
Right.
We're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, really enjoy the relationship we have with the village over these years. Want to continue for a long time. And as noted, when we get the conversation at the Monday night's meeting, you'll see that we have a tremendous amount of faith in the growth of this community, the leadership of it. And we want to continue to be a big part of it. So thank you all for the welcome we've gotten and for accepting our participation in this. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and on that awesome note, yeah, we will move on then. If there's no questions of anybody at PWSB, we'll move on to the walkability study that I understand will be presented by,
I could kick it off and then Eric.
okay, as he's pointing to you, so.
And I'll say our audience is welcome to stay. We have a really exciting meeting. Otherwise, we won't be offended
Yeah,
with you.
you can if you like.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon. So one of the goals for the village this year was to conduct a village-wide walkability study. And typically how that is done is it's literally people walking the sidewalks, one block at a time, and getting an inventory of all of those, either where sidewalk is missing, where it's broken, where there's a trip hazard. Before we even got rolling on that, our terrific DPW director had an outreach to this company called Safe Step. And they actually do this work for free. They provide a study of your municipality, its walkability, where those connections are, and then they offer in exchange a service that we're able to kind of build into our annual budget. So with that, I'll turn it over to our DPW director to share more.
So the program would consist of them, they walked the village, they gave us pretty accurate estimate on total sidewalk, what it costs or what the value of the sidewalk is to the village. And then what they do is they ask for a budget amount of, if we come up with an even number of just say 5,000, then all right, on that 5,000, I'm looking for 2,500 for rip and replace and 2,500 for cut. And they just cut the sidewalks to make sure there's no trip hazard. They tell us what would be ripped and replaced, and that's all based off of our ordinance. So they went off our ordinance and they'll go through and say, okay, here's your $2,500 of rip and replace in this section. And in that section also is another 2,500 that we could cut that is still good yet. The cost, I think, is a third of the cut then to replace. So if they replace it, if using round numbers, $100 to replace, they're roughly like $35 to cut. So you'd save it over time of just eliminating that trip hazard. And obviously the replace would be on us. So they say here, these are the sections that don't follow your code, your ordinance. This stuff we can do. So, and then there would just be what we're looking at spending a year to bring everything up to code.
So there's no firm decision that needs to get made tonight. We're just presenting this information to you. And then the plan is to give us guidance and probably closer as we get to our budgeting time where we would set aside X amount of dollars dedicated towards sidewalk stuff. And a combination of that money will be used to either hire this company to help do the cutting as was talked about, or for replacement done by our staff. And replacement also could mean an expansion where sidewalk isn't currently in place.
I have a quick question. I'm just looking at the priority areas map that's in here, and I'm just wondering how they determine that. I guess the biggest shock that I see is there's nothing on Fredonia Avenue. Is that because everything on Fredonia Avenue is sunshine and roses?
That's all new sidewalk.
He asked what the priority area would be, so I kind of did more of the school area.
Okay.
So Martin was the targeted area and then move up into that subdivision.
I did see that on my run the other day. I did see that there are some markers on the concrete or whatever. So I saw that and was kind of going, oh, they're getting ready to do this. And then this popped up. So I thank you for that.
I think the sidewalk on the main drag is all like 10 or 11 years old. You know, it's all brand new with the street reconstruction. So,
15, right? So it's.
yeah, I forget when that was.
Coming up.
Yeah,
Well, that's good. That means that the sidewalk where we replaced it 10 years ago is still good. I would assume in most areas. All right. Is there any questions of our administrator or the DPW director? Again, there's no decisions based on this. This is just really a kind of a presentation and opportunity for us to ask questions.
did you use or offer to them for the study that we had done in-house for extending sidewalks? That we had a priority list too, like on Fillmore and other areas. Was that included in this?
No, they're just what's out there right now.
Oh, okay.
What should be replaced or what should be cut that they do. I guess on additional or. You know, on Fillmore, if we want to add up to the park, that would be on our own, they wouldn't have it.
No. Well, that would be all anyhow, so.
All right. Do we have any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, if not, we are going to move on for items for discussion and or action. And the first one is an update on the splash pad revenue and expenses to date. Again, I will turn that over to the administrator who we asked to put together this information.
Sure. Some of the members that have been here longer than others might be familiar with this document. We're going to look at the side that has the phase 1 and phase 2 on it. For our newer members, I'll kind of explain how this is laid out. So this was the estimate that was put together by commercial recreation specialists about a year ago in regards to the splash pad project. They did the design work. And then they laid out a estimated budget for what it would cost for us if we were to do everything from scratch and have to raise the money to expense this. So phase 1, a good way to look at it is phase 1 gets you the pad itself. So it gets you the concrete, it gets you the utilities, it gets you water shooting from the ground. Phase 2 then adds all the fun features that you see in all of our pictures of the splash pad. So it's the tree that's shooting out water, it's the bucket that's dumping water. and the other little features like that. So phase one, when you add up the costs, including project management, concrete, and then various installation of different items, the upfront cost was $189. And then the phase two, if you add in all the features, and again, if we would want to do every feature, that plus the mechanical, the freight of those features equals $134. Right away, when we got this project put in our lap, we discussed as staff on what we could take on internally. And that was decided that project management and the excavation work for the project that we could handle within our own staff. And so that brought that upfront cost right away down to $144 for phase one. You'll see on the right side, there's some question marks. We continue to be in conversations with Quashis, who had offered in some way, shape, or form to assist with concrete. We don't know what that exact number is yet, but just know that that's why there's a question mark there. And same thing with electrical and plumbing. We have a lot of in-kind asks of different contractors in the community that have offered in different ways, shapes, or forms. A public one is that we were talking to a member of our plan commission about possibly doing solar, right? So there might be a solar component that could help with the electrical costs. So things like that that is still kind of up in the air. So again, if we assume that we didn't get any other assistance, that raw cost is $144. And then that the phase two cost with all the features is $134. When you add those together, that's the total that you see at the bottom, about $278. Does that make sense so far? Then on the reverse side, you see the donations to date. And again, we have been pretty quiet about our fundraising up to this point. We were truly waiting on the presentation tonight to be our launching point, and then you'll see a lot more marketing on the community to raise dollars here. But when you add up all of the funds that have been raised, including, thank you, Trustee Beglin, for your $5 the other day. I made sure to give you credit for that.
He said, send a test donation.
But you'll see.
You're trying to write that off, Rick?
Yeah, right. So you'll see the amounts that are all listed there. A couple outstanding is we have an outstanding a commitment from Sabol. Same thing with the Fredonia Lions. I believe that a couple of you have a presentation with them fairly soon. The town of Fredonia is considering a donation of some size. Same thing with Ernie von Schledorn and Career Foods. And so those are amounts that are, to be determined based off of what they would want to do. So again, you can see our total commitment right now is at 168. So a nice way to look at this is that with the dollars that we have, and I'll flip it back over to the other side, we in a sense have the monies to do phase one. And one of the advantages we talked about as a board previously, and we talked about internally as well, and with CRS, is that if we began phase one and we started to use local contractors, right, they might be able to do gifts of, well, I'll gift you the labor, right, if you just pay for the parts and things like that. That might be able to bring down some of these initial costs that we have. And by doing that, we'll have a savings that then we can start to chip away at the phase two feature items, which obviously we're not gonna be able to save any money on. We're just gonna have to order and then install. So we're in a really good spot. Our goal was to continue to fundraise through 2024 anyway, and then break ground sometime in 2025. So again, I'm just saying that we're in a good spot, and I'm happy with where we're at. I'll just end with, there's a nice Make a Splash donation form in front of each of you. No pressure, but we would love your contributions as well.
I could do $5.
There you go. All right.
I'll do Rick, do 10.
And so I guess a good question is, obviously we want to market this project to the community. So a question for you guys is, what's your tolerance? How much money do you want to spend in order to make, right? If we're should we send out donation requests? Should we send out more marketing material? I mean, you guys should give me some guidance on what that tolerance is. That way I know what we, should or shouldn't be doing.
So one of the things I thought about, and after going through this a little bit earlier this week, I think, maybe we should do it in two phases, call it, where we start, and I know we've started with our significant donors, and PWSB is amazing, but maybe we start kind of going towards those corporate donors and seeing what happens. And then later on in the summer or something like that, I would have more of an appetite to see like, okay, where are we and how are we doing that way? And should we kind of focus more on, I guess we could do it later in summer and things like that too. I don't know that I don't know what the best way to do it is, but I kind of see it in phases so that we can focus rather than kind of letting spaghetti fly everywhere, if that makes any sense.
And I think internally, I mean, where I'll be spending my time is obviously with those corporate
Yeah.
donors, right? I don't expect me going door to door in your neighborhoods and asking them for money,
Mhm.
but at least providing those opportunities so that people are aware of the project, right? And they know either they can send a check, they can donate online, whatever it might be, that's
Right.
their avenue to do so.
And I'll just mention too, we talked about some of those in-kind donations. I mean, just an idea of how this would work, right? We talked to an individual yesterday that said, yes, I used to be into concrete and doing concrete work. I don't do it anymore, but hey, if I knew that a local contractor that I'm friends with is going to be doing the concrete, I'll have my butt up there with a wheelbarrow and pouring concrete and being part of the labor. So maybe then they don't have to call, you know, and I could do something like that. Like those are the type of things that we mean by in-kind and people working that way. So, you know, maybe a construction company doesn't have to call all their laborers in to do it type thing. So I agree. I think we're in a pretty good spot. And I think that the PWSB thing is significant and some of the other things that we're going after, I think is it'll be good. So
I mean, I'm just thinking of the newsletters we send out with our water bills, et cetera. Is this something that we can include with our newsletters? Like a copy of a sheet,
yeah, I think we can,
we're already mailing.
well, are we mailing our newsletters? So
We don't mail our newsletters. It was
Just,
prohibitively expensive
Okay.
to send. It was like $900 to send it to every home. So we publish them on the website, but I always leave the back page for like we had the garbage calendar on there, like a one spread sheet. So it would be an appropriate place to have something like that if that was the direction the board wanted us to head.
But it doesn't mean we couldn't. I mean,
Mhm.
those who don't know, in our budget this year, we do have marketing dollars. We've dollars aside for marketing purpose. So if you wanted to, you know, kill two birds with one stone with the newsletter and this, you could.
I would love to send the newsletter to to everybody.
I do feel like, and again, this is maybe not the time where I'll give point of order myself, but I think it'd be a good idea to try to at least send one newsletter per year in the mail.
And really to tie it in with all the events that we have going on
Yeah.
this year,
There's
I
so
mean,
much.
it'd be a great time to do that.
Mhm.
My question is that we see that there's a total of $168,000. And according to our estimates, there's still another 110,000 that we need. Do we feel comfortable with that? I mean, that's still a sizable amount of money.
I think we will.
Because if we do phase one, we got that covered, but we still have to have phase two.
But at the same time, if we start phase one, we start inciting the excitement of the village and the public. And that might prompt more donations.
No, that's being optimistic, but
It
And
is
it-
being optimistic. I think you have a little bit more enticement of businesses, where you can go into them and say, hey, we've got an activator, we'd love for you to sponsor it with your plaque with your name on it.
Yeah.
I think that you are those will roll easier than, hey, we need $5,000, would you be willing to donate that? I think you can get a better return on donations that way. So I think it's gonna come fast and furious.
And it's different when it's a,
I don't want to be a buzzkill here, but the economy ain't exactly in good shape. So, and we have to be, I feel some positivity with 168,000 already, but we're still not there yet.
Mhm.
And I think we still have to remember that.
Yep.
I'm in favor of fiscal government and, you know, I know this is not gonna be taxpayers, but we still have to get 110,000. It's still not there. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. So that's what I have to say.
yeah, if you remember Brian Strachey from CRS when he was here, that two-phase concept is pretty common. Because it helps it so that project becomes more real and not just a dream, you know, to your point, trustee Bartz, when we're going out and asking for money about, well, this might be true. If we already have phase one done, it's a real thing. And now we just need this component for it, right? It makes it more tangible for their donations.
Mhm.
They're in bite-sized pieces though, too.
Yep.
And that always helps. We The recreation committee is a 501(c)(3) now, isn't it?
No.
It's
Not the
not yet? You're
committee, but-
Working on that?
There's a,
The recreation committee is not Friends of
Or not the
Fredonia.
committee, friends of.
Friends of
Friends.
Fredonia is.
Yeah, because people will donate to something that can give them a deduction rather than donating to a village project that, well, we can't give them a piece of paper. I think that'll make a difference.
Mhm.
And corporate matching, a lot of us have corporate matching
Mhm.
options where it comes right out of our pre-tax paychecks.
That's great.
And they'll match it up to a certain dollar amount.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, I think that, yes, while we've got a ways to go and $110,000 to go, I mean, you start looking at some of these things and you know, whatever this SL split is, it's $385. We need 5 of them. Okay, you know, $385, you know, donate something type deal. So you start seeing those things and you go, maybe this does become a real project. And to Chris's point, I think if you can start marketing the fact that, hey, we have a splash pad. It doesn't have all the features yet, but we've got the money to build a splash pad right now. Help us make the rest of this, you know, dream a reality type thing. I think that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, that was part of the original proposal too, that part phase 2 could be done over a year or 2. You know, it doesn't have to all be there for 25. It's better if it is, but worst comes to worst. They're all plug-in features and they're ready to get plugged into. I'll have someplace to go with them. So I'm getting more and more optimistic about this. I think it's the same as I thought last year when we were talking about this. By the time we get to the end of summer and get back into the school year, we should know a lot closer whether this is really gonna happen or not.
And I think, you know,
We need that summer, we need that time to develop the interest and for people to find out about it. Other than at a meeting or something like that in their newsletter. The application we got here, we could make that on the last page, we could make it printable.
Yeah.
Then they just print it off and mail it back, whatever. Yeah, I'm not nearly as worried as I started out.
Well, I want to refresh my memory is, were we gonna charge, entry fees for like people that didn't live in Fredonia or anything like that? Or not?
that would add to the costs of like
Yeah, it would
enforcement.
cost more than we would get.
something that, you know, we should probably, and we can talk about this at a later time. I don't want to get too off the walls here, but you know, when we first took this up and started talking about, we need to fundraise all these monies and make sure we have it all before we do, you know, do it all. I think now all of a sudden we take a step back and you've got a sponsor that's put up and literally already deposited $50,000. How weird is that gonna look if all of a sudden we just go, nope, sorry, here's your money back? You know what I mean? So,
Well,
so that's one of those things where that's why I'm even more open now to it. And I was a little closed-minded and, you know, when we first did this, but going, it's hard to kind of refuse that donation and say, yeah, we're not gonna do it. And then just say, well, we couldn't raise every single dollar for it, right? And so we had to put the project on hold and just get rid of it.
I wasn't proposing bailing out on it.
Yeah, I'm not saying you were, Kurt. I'm just going back to our previous conversation that a previous board had, and I just got to thinking about that now. It's like these people came in here and said, we want to invest in community. We're all about this. You're gonna see another investment. And we go, that's great. And then at the end of 2024, we go, thanks, but no thanks. You know what I mean? So that a significant donation like that, I feel like makes it hard to do that. And I think that's something that we have to kind of think about. Too.
I will note that I am the top donor on the GoFundMe
Yes,
right now.
you are. You are. See, if any of you would have beat him.
Don already
$6.
pledged, Don already pledged 10. I heard him.
Yeah, did you have to start so high?
All right. Any other discussion on the splash pad and expenses?
Can we continue to get a brief update like this, maybe once a month?
Yeah. Yeah.
As we're, you know, it's kind of starting to get towards the end of the
Yep.
donation cycles and just a good update monthly, I think would be helpful.
And I do
know where we
think,
Need to push and stuff.
yeah, because you and I talked, we had an intense marketing conversation over the last 2 days here. The more I think about it, and the more doing a physical mailer about our other events and maybe this project, although one might not be a bad idea for us to throw together here. So, all right. Yep.
No, I got a question.
Yeah.
So in the corporate now, I've been donating through corporate.
Okay.
And do they send you something? Like, do they do that at the end of the year?
How did
I've never
your
paid
company?
I would never
do it?
pay attention. I mean, I just don't, the money, and it comes out of my paycheck, and I've never, I've not, I mean, we track it, I track it at home, I have it
Yeah.
tracked, but I didn't know if they give you that little bit out of every paycheck, or if they wait till the end of the year.
Who are you donating to? The Friends Group,
Yes,
501c3?
yes.
Well, I know they haven't seen money yet,
Okay,
so they don't have it yet.
Okay.
So I would just check with your company. I
I'll
don't know.
check.
I don't know how
I'll
often I do that.
on that, yeah, I wasn't sure how, because I mean, I have the sheet, so we're gonna track it, so.
And just to say about the mailers, I think there's a lot of people who don't look at the newsletter on the website and would actually
Yeah.
get something.
Sorry,
It's true.
but it's real.
And it takes time.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
It's
And
very true that
yeah.
there's a lot of people that just do not bother going to the website
Yeah.
Yep.
and looking up these types of things,
Yeah.
but having a physical mailer
Mhm.
to all of these people, including this, it's
Yep.
gonna be huge. And frankly, at the end of the elections, having a big thing out there for the elections.
I handed them out, I ran out of paper. I mean, it was great, and the response is always great and really positive,
I'm
and,
just thinking November.
yeah, I know. And our
Having a
reach isn't
big
as
area
wide as
in
we would like
November.
it to be, but I
Because we
think,
have both
yeah.
town and village coming in here. and-
so, okay.
Okay, we'll work on that. Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to something that is actually right along the same lines. So I don't know, I can kind of introduce this one. So we have a motion to approve resolution at 2024-06, which authorizes the village administrator to apply for an outdoor recreation grant. And this grant is directly tied to the splash pad. So Chris, if you want to just say a couple of things on it and we can go from there.
Sure. We learned about the grant opportunity back in January. It's through the state, through the DNR. They have 3 different conservation fund grants. They have X amount of dollars allocated to it, a little bit more because they're still burning through ARPA dollars themselves. And there's 3 different funding sources you could apply for. So splash pads fall under the Clean Water Fund. So we kind of had it on the back burner. We were working through the project. We called our local DNR rep, who was friends with Eric, apparently, we found out. And we walked through the application with them and just assembled all of our items. And what started off to be, well, this is just an application that we'll put in, very quickly became they needed a lot of things, because as you can imagine, it's the DNR. And I just want to give huge kudos to Michelle, Eric. I mean, a lot of us came together to put together various maps and other miscellaneous requests that the DNR would want on an application like this. And so it ended up being a 73-page application that we submitted to the DNR. We asked for $100,000. It does not mean we get another $100,000, but just know that the effort was put together. We submitted the application. There are various grading criteria. So again, not to get overly optimistic, but the grading criteria, a lot of it focused on diversity and inclusion, access to trails, and bringing in increased traffic into your village. So we can kind of hit some of those buckets, right? But maybe not every one. So regardless, we shoot our shot and we submitted that application. And we won't know for a good, 2 seasons here probably until we get it. So it may be towards the end of 2024 if and when we find out. If we were to get it, keep in mind these dollars are tied to federal money. And so our process for, bidding out the construction work and our timeline of constructing is probably going to get pushed out if we got those dollars. Obviously, it's a great reason to wait, because we'll have monies we didn't expect. But just know that the money comes with some extra hurdles if we get it. But regardless, we're glad that we applied, and we'll see what happens here later this year.
So yeah, we need a motion to
Yes, sorry.
allow him to apply for a grant that he's already applied for. So
So just to back up a little bit, this is the one portion of the grant application that we are allowed to turn in after May first. So it is not inappropriate that we are asking for this resolution to be passed after the application has already been turned in.
No, we've never done that.
No. I really appreciate you like keeping me on the level. Like I say something, it's like, just hold on. Yeah, hold on a second. So,
Move to approve resolution 2024-06.
I second.
all right. I have a motion and I have a second. Any questions?
I have a question.
Oh, my goodness, you guys.
We didn't think we were done yet.
No, I guess not. No, it's fine.
Is it Don first or?
I
I don't know. Luke start in the end.
So what is this DEI component? How are we supposed to accomplish that?
I did not,
Everybody come.
I did not make the grading criteria.
Yeah.
So I
No, but I
can't
mean,
tell you.
are you, when you apply for the grant, are you supposed to say, well, we're gonna do this in order to comply with DEI, or they're just, what,
No,
are they gonna come down with
I think you get.
some type of regulations for that?
I don't, no, none of that. I'm trying to think of the politically correct way to answer your question. They are.
I know it's an uncomfortable
Yeah, I
question,
get it,
but
yeah.
I think it needs to be asked.
So I was just saying that was part of their grading criteria. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily what we said in our application. Our application,
Okay.
our application focused on, well, by having this amenity, right, we're able to bring people together, not only in our community, but bring visitors to our community, right? And increase commerce and all of that. If
Yeah.
it happens to have the side effect of increasing DEI in order to meet their grading criteria, then great.
So they're making
But-
that determination is what you're saying. We're not
Correct.
actively, okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Donnie?
Did you include an application that we're going to be putting this on land that was purchased with the Nelson, Nelson, whatever. fund?
So what did
I
the,
don't know if that.
Yeah.
Will get points or not, but.
so we had to look up the history of actually buying that property. We had to
Right.
record the original deed. And so, yep, we got all that information.
Yeah.
In there. Yep.
You probably know more about Marie Crouch.
Yeah,
Park
I
than you
learned a lot.
Yeah.
Did you know it's made up of like a bunch of different parcels? Yeah, this is great. Great stuff.
All right. Any other questions before we call the vote? All right, I'll call it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have discussion and possible action on South Milwaukee Street Culvert Project.
I can kick this one off if you'd like.
Yep.
Sure. So this one's been a long time coming. Again, I'll get some background information for our new members. So in 2023, we budgeted $73,000 in our capital improvement project fund for the improvement or repair or replacement of the large culvert that is on Milwaukee Street. It's kind of across from the fire station there and kitty corner to Fireman's Park. When we went out to bid last year, the bids came in much higher than the 75,000 we had set aside. So the board at the time said, all right, let's just earmark and save those dollars and then add an additional 75 into the 2024 budget and then go out to bid again. So we now have 150 total that we can allocate towards this project. We went out to bid through the month of April, and we ended up receiving two bids. One is from Subsurface for $156,000 to repair and seal the corrugated pipe portion, just 90 feet of it. And then you have Visual Sewer for $246,000 only to seal, but they would seal the full 243 feet of the pipe. And if you ask our DPW director, not only is the 156 lower than the 246, but repairing that piece is more important than just sealing the rest of that pipe. So that is the first piece of this conversation. We asked Strand and Isaac Fruitman, who is our engineer, to take a look at the project too. He came out and did an inspection just to get the estimated lifespan of the culvert. Is it going to collapse tomorrow, or do we got a couple of years? He said, well, it's certainly not going to collapse tomorrow, but obviously you need some repairs at some point here in the next few years. Because Khrushchev happened to be in the neighborhood doing work just down the street, we had asked them to give a rough estimate of what it would look like if they wanted to jump in on the project. So they gave us a rough estimate of that 115. Keep in mind, that doesn't include all of their expenses. This is a true bid because they kind of threw an estimate to us outside of the bid time. But when it's all said and done, it would probably be about 150 to do a replacement. And do you remember how many feet, Eric, that they were going to cover? 90 feet as well. So they would replace that first 90 feet of pipe. In addition to all of this, the state has a new program that we included in your packet where they're asking counties and their municipalities to take an inventory of all culverts over 60 inches. And the reasoning behind that is because they're saying that in 2 to 3 years, there's going to be dollars made available to help replace and fix these culverts. So all that is to tell you that I think you have 3 different options here. You either A, can accept the lowest actual bidder, which in this case was subsurface for 156. So it's maybe $6,000 over what we had budgeted for. And again, they would only be repairing and sealing the first 90 feet of that pipe. B, you would reject these official bids. We would go out to bid again for construction and provide that opportunity for Cruise Check and whoever else who wants to bid for replacing that 90 feet to be able to do so. And hopefully Cruise Check comes in around that 150 number. Or we reject these bids and leave this project alone, bank the 150 for another CIP project that you want to do, and then inventory this culvert with the county in the hopes that in 2 to 3 years, the state comes up with the dollars that they say that they're going to do to replace it. That's my explanation. Yes, sir.
So I guess I have a couple of questions. 90 feet versus 243. Is 243 the entire length of the culvert?
Yes,
Okay, and 90 feet of it is what really needs to be repaired and,
the 90 feet is a 71-inch corrugated metal pipe that is inverted, meaning it's collapsing from the bottom.
oh.
So it's grinding out from the bottom and folding up.
Mhm. I guess my other question is, does our engineer and his expertise think that this will last 3 years? The way it is right now?
He very politically said that is a decision up to you guys.
Cross both fingers and legs and.
But he also didn't say it would collapse and Cruise Check, when they came out to look at it, they said the same thing, that it wasn't showing signs, while showing signs on the bottom, that top area still looked structurally sound. So it's not like it would interfere, it would collapse, with the road.
So the rest of the, however many feet that is, after the 90 feet, is that still in decent shape?
So I don't know what's all in the packet, so it's a 71-inch for 90 feet. And don't hold me because I don't have it in front of me, then it's a 60-inch box culvert for so many. Then it's a 60-inch round concrete culvert, and then it's a 54-inch round culvert. So the other part was then whatever happens, I put money away to seal every section that the pipe changes. Just one downfall, which I'm not sure if it's in the packet, is the reason why too that it's the 90 feet is crucial, besides it failing, is the concrete pipe runs 4 feet away from the house. And no contractor wants to touch it.
On the other side of the.
Yeah, if we do the whole thing. Because they're afraid of the foundation.
Fun.
So that would be where, if we could get access to state funding with that level of liability and maybe cost that comes with it, that might not be a bad idea, at least for that section.
I mean, I guess. I just wonder how long we think that this thing will last. I mean, yeah, it's easy enough to throw $150,000 into our reserves and get some interest on it, whatever and whatnot, and see what happens, but then. If it fails and literally fails, that goes right underneath South Milwaukee, right? That's gonna be fun.
So if you guys, probably too late tonight, when you drive it, you'll see a patch. Which would be on the northwest side. That's where it's sinking. We don't know why. How many times have you patched it?
I'm working on my 7th year and we've patched it 4 or 5 other times so far.
Will they cut it open, fill it back in? We don't see where it's going, because we don't see that on the inside, so we don't know if something's washing away somewhere else. Don't know.
But when we do have a sinkhole, we can see that the gravel is getting completely washed. Where we have no idea.
Eric, do you feel that this is something that we shouldn't wait too long on? Do you feel that 3 years might be pushing it?
Michelle, can I use my analogy?
Yes, I don't know. Yes, sorry, Chris.
Speak freely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
They also said the Titanic would never sink.
We all know about that.
Yeah,
Could it make it? I mean, it's not a lot of heavy traffic on there every day to pound that,
Mm-hmm.
but all it takes is a 6-inch quick rain to start washing out going past that, and then you're gonna have problems.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's such a gamble.
it is such a
Yeah.
gamble.
Yeah,
And
I don't like gambling.
what I don't like is the fact that we're gonna fix something that is essentially $150,000 and we're putting a patch in, right? I mean, we're gonna fix part of it.
The worst part is the corrugated metal pipe.
Right.
And the ceiling, I feel, was the best option, or at least the best where it's not so invasive, meaning
Mhm.
you're not messing with the asphalt, you're not messing with the curb, you don't have to worry about utilities, you're lining the inside. They say they guarantee that for the life of a new pipe.
I'm guessing, just thinking about our road study, South Milwaukee's nowhere near being replaced, right?
Well, it's been on the list for about
Yeah.
30 years.
But
Is it gonna fail this year? I would say no.
Yeah.
Within the next 5, I mean. Once the road starts to go down, you know that she's ready to go.
Yeah.
but isn't the road going down?
It's in one section over there.
Yeah, I'm kind of skeptic of the state coming through with any money, you know. But it's a maybe someday type situation, and I don't get a lot of warm fuzzies from that.
No,
I don't think we should wait. I mean,
I
think it should be done as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think that I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't like it. I don't love it, but I think if anything, we should, My-
Should we wait and allow
That-
Cusack to provide a full quote?
that's what I was gonna say. I think that's probably what I would think. But it's obviously the pleasure of the board, so.
Well, I think we have time for option B. I don't think we have time for option C. Because it may not happen.
I don't like the idea of a fire truck coming down going down the road and falling into the asphalt. That'd be bad.
But you might have an extra $150 or 150,000 for that fire truck, so.
So that would, my other input that I would give you would be. That is a truck route. That is the only route to the south. If something would happen to that road. I mean, they're either going 57 or they're going to I.
Mm-hmm.
How many trucks do you think are going to Peterson's on a daily basis, semis? 5 to 10? Yeah, in and out, it's 10 trips or 20 trips? Over this
20 trips in.
20 trips, okay.
And I will add, so normally every year South Milwaukee floods right there because we have
Yeah,
a big water intake. And Don, you might remember this, but a few years ago, we
The
had,
whole intersection was underwater.
yeah, it was all underwater. We had a car drive through it and while it was underwater, a sinkhole created and the car did get stuck in the sinkhole.
Mhm.
Nice.
Did we ever try patching that with slurry?
We tried slurry, we tried bending old signs to form around the top of the pipe.
Yeah, okay.
We've tried just about anything that could just a Band-Aid fix.
So I don't know if I'm thinking about this right, but to replace that 90 feet with a new culvert doesn't sound like a Band-Aid to me.
No, you'd be doing it right, it's just, his.
I mean, we still have 4 different joints.
Was no asphalt, no concrete, I mean, there was a lot of stuff. Not there.
That's why it's more likely the 150 number.
But then you'd be starting over, it'd be a concrete pipe. It would, I think he'd go to a 60 inch, I think that's what he recommended. So yeah, it'd be redone and everything would be done right. This would be another 30-year fix.
Mhm.
But I mean, if we don't know where that one sinkhole is, or we don't know what's happening underneath.
Are they gonna be bidding on, like concrete pipe sections or a corrugated one?
It'd be a concrete.
Concrete.
So they're
If
removing,
you're gonna match it, it'd probably be a 60-inch square concrete. Culvert pipe.
so they're removing the corrugated one then?
Yep, then they would shut the road down, dig it, everything up.
Yeah, cause that's in the water all the time. That bottom of that culvert is always wet. And it drains farm fields, which dump chemicals and fertilizers,
I don't put any.
whatever, and that's, a lot of that stuff is caustic and will rust things. So you really have to go to the concrete. I think we should pull it, depending on what the bid we get from Crookshank, which might be the lowest bid. I think we should look forward to doing that type of fix on this. That will, how, are we gonna be up to the patio yet or not?
Up to where?
The patio,
No, it would be, I think, just on the other side of the curve, so it'd be.
Where we were looking at, on that side.
uh-huh,
You might get a lot more, if you reject everything, you might get a lot more bidders now, because now you're not doing anything by the house,
Mhm.
it's just the road.
mhm. Plus, we're changing the project.
So the action, what it sounds like you guys are stating is that you'd want to reject the current bids that are in front of you. And then we would go out to bid again just on direct replacement of that first 90 feet,
Mhm.
How long is the bidding period?
as long as we wanted to be. We have to put out notices and stuff, but
So I mean, would we be looking at getting it done this year still, or? is that-
yeah, that would be the intention if it fits in the contractor schedule.
How long do you think it would take them to do that? Is that like a 3-week job, 4-week job,
Weeks
2 weeks? Yeah, we'll get bidders for that.
Is that gonna shut down all Milwaukee Street?
per day.
Yeah. We'll just drive over their patio to get on these. Or perhaps we can make some kind of deal with, the CCC and go around that way. I mean, we do that occasionally anyway, so.
My concern is, it is a main thoroughfare
Mhm.
through Fredonia to the industrial park. There's a lot of trucks and.
Yeah,
whatnot
well, they
that
go
drive
around
through
and
there,
come
but-
up Meadowlark, the way they're supposed to do mostly anyhow, but. Yeah,
So again, looking at the overall picture, just being inconvenienced for a day or two, it's worth
Yeah.
it.
Should make sure we're not shutting it down for 2 weeks.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
I don't know if we can plate, excavation that wide.
What in God's name is
That
down
would be a
there?
pretty wide one, like, we won't be able to plate that, so. Yeah, we'll just have to redirect the traffic.
Well. This is just discussion. Someone wants to make a motion and we can decide on what we're gonna do.
So make a motion to reject all bids and rebid the project.
Second it.
All right, I have a motion in 2 seconds.
After that,
Um,
get any of your bidders.
What a third.
any other questions? I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you. All right. Next, we have a motion to approve the contract 2-2024 with PTS Contractors, Inc. for the Highland Drive reconstruction project in the amount of $933,000. And if you recall, this is the Highland Avenue reconstruction. We went out to bid. We had the bid opening last week, Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, it's pretty good for me. And this was the lowest bid, similar to what we had to do with the business park, doing the reconstruction there, the new construction. We are required to go with the lowest bidder unless there's a reason. So I don't know if anybody wants to say anything other financially as far as how.
Yeah, I'll just share that just like the industrial park progress, we blew Strand's expectations out of the water when it came to the amount of bids that we got. So much so that after our last two, Isaac was saying that maybe they need to change their, assumptions a little bit. So we had 7 bidders that submitted proposals. And in the end, PTS Construction won out at $933,000. We did estimate 1.2 million for this project. That's what we have in our budget. After chatting with Isaac, based off of, again, where it's unknown because the industrial park is different in that it's vacant land, right? So as you dig stuff up, you're just gonna find more dirt. He felt that this cushion was appropriate because we don't know what we're gonna dig up. When we dig up Highland, we might find things are more mismatched than we thought that they were. So having this breathing room puts us in a comfortable position financially that we could continue to move full steam ahead with this project. So we're looking forward to working with PTS Construction and.
Are we at liberty to talk about what PWSB was alluding to on the next?
Yes,
meeting? Okay.
it's on our agenda. Yep.
All right. So if anybody doesn't know, PWSB is also planning on doing an expansion of the bank up here in town. So that they'll be adding, what is it, like 500 or 900 square feet, something like that to the
Almost
building.
doubling their space.
Yeah. Yep, that's what he was talking about. So they're gonna be doing that. So this project is gonna go perfectly well with that. It'll be a revitalization again of that strip of land. So I think
Makes
that this
sense,
is
yeah.
great. And that this includes also a sidewalk that goes in front of their bank, which people have been wanting for years. So
Eric, can you refresh our memories about some of the utility lines that run underneath there and why this project is so important to get completed?
So, short story long. Fredonia was redone with a 10 inch. A 10 inch water main.
Up to the fire agent.
Yep, and then. Martin was done with a 12 inch in front of Casey's and that, the new part of that ever went across 57. The big issue was Highland is a 6 inch cast iron, everything else is plastic. The fire department normally hooks up on the hydrant on the corner of Casey's there and. Well, we always tell them they have a fire because we have a break the next day. So I have a big pipe and a little guy in between. The little one takes the brunt and she goes. So I believe there's seven water main breaks on that stretch. So then there's some keys in there. That we gotta build. So the sewer is 6 inch.
I find my earbuds in there too.
6 inch plate. We've had issues with our trailer dredger to try and get through anything that's tough, meaning grease, grits from the car wash, obviously grease from the restaurant. We can't do that line and our dredger's not strong enough. So when they went through, he said he couldn't get through, and then when he tried, it took him how many times? But now we're going to a plastic pipe to make it easier, because you're not gonna have every 10 feet, connections.
what diameter pipe are you going to?
What?
What diameter pipes are you going
I
to?
believe that was saying 6 inch,
10 for the water though?
and better for the water.
And
And then
we're,
the water will be plastic, and we're gonna put another valve in between, so like if we had a break on there. Problem is we have to shut so much down because there's not a valve on Highland. So instead of just shutting one on Highland and being done, no, we're shutting 2 on Martin, 1 up towards the school, Regal, Fredonia, we're shutting them all over the place, so. So this would ease all that and fix that.
and we're hopeful with redoing that will also help eliminate some of the issues within that subdivision over between Highland and Milwaukee.
With the water main breaks.
Mhm.
And the pressure should ease itself out.
And any help we can give that old infrastructure on Milwaukee Street would be great. So. And just, I guess, for the previous board members, this is a budgeted process or item that we went through last year, so it's part of our.
Yep, and then just cleaning up a lot of stuff there, for those that haven't lived in the village for a while or known. You know, McDonald's wasn't always there. It was an old gas station. Well, they moved it. The sewer was to the south, so basically they're running a pipe out to the road, running it south to the manhole to run it back north. So this would all get cleaned up, and I can't clean from Regal to Fredonia because it's a 3-inch pipe. So this would clean everything up, and I think the manhole we were fixing last year is all brick, and I mean, it's just, it's time, it's needed.
What's also in this, in the contract and actually ties back to our walkability study from earlier is we've paid a lot of attention to crossing pedestrian traffic along Fredonia Avenue, and then same thing at the Martin Highland intersection for the school. And so we were able to apply, we had to go through a federal permitting process in order to get flashing crosswalk signs that'll be installed along there as well, because if we're digging up the street, we might as well do that as well and install that electricity to be able to do that. So that's a piece that I know Trustee Dorward had talked about, the sidewalk that leads to nowhere, the walkway that leads to nowhere across Highland there. We looked at that with Isaac, our engineer, to see if there was any good spot really to put that. And unfortunately, just the layout of the buildings and where people's driveways are, there really isn't. So you're not going to have a clear legal across Highland anywhere up and down that street besides the 2 crosswalks that we'll have installed.
Is that going westbound that you're talking about? The sidewalk to nowhere?
It's going there's a little stub out right on the south end of Highland, in front of the bank, that would lead you to nothing. It leads you to McDonald's parking lot, but there's no clear connection point. And that's not a legal walkway. Plus, it needs to be so many feet away from the intersection, and it's really close. So we would take out that walkway because it's not a legal one to have anyway.
Well, and now you'll have a sidewalk that goes all the way.
Yeah.
Towards the school anyway. So at least. Now when
It's off at a certain point and just.
Yeah, now when you jaywalk, you can just do it away from the intersection. So.
Then the
Don't do
other, the other notable thing that.
I don't think it goes on in this town very
The
much.
4-way stop at Martin and Highland, the stop signs will be flashing and solar. So,
Which intersection, Highland, what?
and Martin.
In Martin.
for the school.
By Casey.
It'll be lit up nice.
Maybe that.
I
will
think
help
that's
the-
good.
Are you gonna
Park
have
that
the
runs the stop sign.
crosswalks over up near the Dollar General as well?
Yes, yeah, that's where that one's gonna be.
Yeah, that one's, okay.
Yep.
Because I know there's a lot of kids that like to go to the
Correct.
General.
I've seen her there once or twice.
Included.
I don't think this is part of the scope, but I have to mention it. Has there been any conversation with We Energies or anything about burying power lines or any of that stuff since we're doing this? Have we talked to them at all?
So you have 9:33 for it? No.
I know some-
would say no.
yeah.
That, I would have to say that one nice thing when we have a water and break in Highland. Right up and in there, besides water and sewer, and then gas on one side, everything else is above ground, so
Well, now we won't have that issue though, Eric.
that is.
So we do have to alert We Energies that we're doing the project. So if they have interest in their.
Yeah, I was gonna say
agree, that would be
sometimes they
fine.
do.
You gotta give them 2.5 years.
Yeah, so they'll rip it up and then they'll, yeah, right. I know it.
Sure, that's enough time.
All right. Well, what is the pleasure? I'm ready for it whenever you guys are ready. Hey.
I'd like to make a motion to approve contract 2024 with PTS Contractors for the Highland Drive reconstruction project in the amount of $933,000.00.
I'll second that.
You guys.
Take your pick.
I'm
Let
all.
Don do it.
Yeah.
He hasn't got one yet tonight. I already gave it to Kurt.
Uh-oh,
Yeah, give it to Chris. He was blinding. He was 9 years now.
he was pretty loud.
I'm bigger.
You are bigger too, taller. All right, I have a motion in a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for spending 900 and some odd $1,000. All right, next we have a motion to approve ordering a Ford F-350 4x4 pickup truck with a plow to be received in 2025, not to exceed $68,000.
I will move to approve.
Second.
Good. Now we can.
Does anybody have any
we can do it
questions
the
or
legal way this time.
no questions? All right. I'll just point out that this is gonna be ordered now so that it comes in time for 2025. If we waited until later in the year when our actual budget is approved. Yes, go ahead. Well,
Okay.
hold on, you wait for me.
Okay, okay.
Then we won't get it by 2025 either, but Chris, go ahead and,
So I'm
Talk to
just
the
gonna
one, please.
emphasize the decision you're making tonight to make sure that we're all on the same page here. So you're in a sense pre-approving a CIP item for 2025. So if you remember, for those that were on the board, when we did our CIP borrowing, we borrowed for 2 years, right? To capture the interest rates at the time and get a better bang for our buck, by doing so. So we have the dollars for both 2024 and 2025 CIP projects, and this is one of the 2025 ones. Even though we went through that process, and when we approved getting the monies, we went to finance committee and we showed them 2 years worth of CIP projects. Just because they kind of nodded their head and said, yep, that sounds like the right amount of money to borrow, does not lock this board into those specific 2025 projects. So the finance committee will still go through the process of looking at and deciding what are the 2025 CIP projects. It'll still get built into the 2025 budget. You all will have multiple opportunities to say what projects you want and which projects you don't. So just keep in mind that yes, you're approving for them to start working on this truck. But 4 months from now, you guys could decide that, this truck isn't important anymore and we want to do something else. And both of these trucks, and Eric can confirm for me, have an option for you to opt out, even though they'll be in the middle of.
350, yes, not the 450.
But is there still a date?
350.
But is there still an opt-out date for that?
No,
There isn't? Okay,
not on the 450.
okay, thank you. So again, for both of these items, you're in a sense kind of binding yourself into doing this project next year, whether you want to or not.
Kurt, can you confirm, for our new board members, what these are replacing?
So the 350 will be replacing, our 1993 grass rig. That is the 4-door diesel. I mean, it works. I mean, it's a nice truck, but I mean, it's a full box, full 4 doors. So you go and take the trailer out on the road, it's like, and the trailer behind us yet, I mean, it's a big truck. And then this truck would have the plow on it, and then the plow would be universal with the other trucks too. So if something would happen, or we would be replacing the plow, that plow would still work. So I'm trying to make everything universal, so it's not, this will only work on this, this will only work on that. So. And then the reason why we're ordering it is, you know, I don't have, there's no hidden agenda with why we're doing this. Is up at EBS, you can see some of the trucks up there. The problem is the one truck is a diesel, so add another 10 grand onto it. One's a 4-door, I don't want a 4-door, you know, I want something that would work here. And then by ordering it, we get the discount, and then we get what we want on it. So we can get the stronger transmission, we can get the bigger motor. So for when we're plowing, we're not, you know, overheating everything. So that's why the 350 and why I'm coming to you today to pre-order it. When the truck shows up, I'll just say November, December, we have the option then, the village has the option to say, Eric, we don't like it anymore, you're not getting the truck. That one we can get on. The 450 now, because the 450, Monroe has to order the box, because this is gonna be replacing our chipper truck. Monroe has to order the box, they're gonna order everything for it. So when the truck comes in, then it goes to get everything installed. Hopefully we can have it sometime in January, February.
If I recollect correctly, the dump truck that we have now is not working at all, right? It's
Still don't have it back.
yeah. So that's sorely needed.
So
The second item, right?
this would help because since Brandon's truck hasn't been usable all winter,
Yeah.
we lost some of the roads to weather. We couldn't get out there and solve the mess. Because we only have one truck. This would help, it would just have a little salt box on there, so I could do like the village office, I could do the fire department right away. Because now what I do is I plow it, and then I gotta call someone to come and solve it. Plus two, would help for the longevity out of the parking lot here, instead of driving, you know, a 30-ton truck in here, I'm just a pickup. Trying to make everything better.
Seems reasonable.
All right, I still do have a motion and a second on the table. Are there any other questions or concerns? Again, this is just for the first truck, the one that we would be able to say, sorry. Now I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have a motion for the 450.
Make a motion to approve the order of the Ford 450 mini dump with plow and salter.
Second it.
All right, any other discussion?
The dump actually has to be stainless steel. Okay.
All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have correspondence. Man, is anybody else having issues with their iPads? Like they just close randomly?
Yes.
Not today.
Okay,
I have some additional questions for our DPW. Is now an appropriate time to ask?
Committee questions?
It might be.
Are they related to items on the agenda?
No.
Are they things that we could,
Put towards the next meeting?
yeah, that we could talk about in future consideration? So we could ask the questions now and Eric could consider his responses and bring that to you at the next meeting?
Yes.
Or, I know your schedule is tight, maybe prepare a written response
Or in the
that I
next
would
report?
help with.
great. Let's tackle correspondence first and then we'll ask some of those questions. We do have the Mid-Marine Municipal Association dinner on May 22nd, 2024, and it's being hosted by Fredonia. So that's here in town.
Yes.
I would love it if people could come and attend as many as possible since it is at our hometown.
Yeah, at least all of us.
That'd be good. It looks like we have to let you know by May 16th.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I will just say that Jen sent the menu a couple weeks ago and it looks fantastic. So I'm really excited to showcase her delicious food and Miriam's as well. And we're planning it in the fire station to show off our top-notch department. So I'm excited to show off the village. And so I hope you guys can all attend too.
Yeah, Dewey Strobel will be there. He's gonna be the guest speaker, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's the first time we're holding this dinner that we can actually hold it in our village.
I think it's cool.
Go up to 5 Pillars or Weilers or, this will be good.
Yep,
Dewey Strobel's a all-star too.
yeah, it should be a good time. All right, any other correspondence? If not, we have items for future consideration.
I would like to inquire about, I believe at the last meeting, we were talking about resurfacing Fredonia Avenue and patching on the water main break on Morrow and Fredonia Avenue. Do we have any information on what they're doing to resurface? Meaning, is it gonna be chip and seal? I see that they're out seal coating this week and last week, or crack filling, I mean. So I'm curious what that means on how they're gonna resurface and also the time frame on that.
The county will chip seal, I believe it's June 25th, 26th.
Oh,
When is,
Ooh,
is after 500?
I believe those are the
Or
dates
150.
and it's gonna be from 57 to basically the top of the hill in front.
do we know how they decided to chip seal? Like, why are they chip sealing within a municipality like this when it's typically
That's
done
their
with
rule.
county road? I know, but they could typically do it on county roads. They don't do it through villages and municipalities like this.
I think the first part you mentioned, because it's a county road, that's what you're doing.
So it draws a lot of concerns that they're gonna be chip sealing that road. A lot of concerns, especially with that time frame being it's the week before our big celebration. There's gonna be a ton of dust in the air. There's gonna be a ton of debris. That's gonna be terrible for a parade to be going through.
So why don't we?
Will that be swept before the next weekend?
Well, you're gonna have to sweep it multiple times. You're gonna have to water it. There is so much prep work and everything we're gonna have to do to even think about dealing with this the week before our anniversary celebration.
Can we
So Eric, you and I should talk to John Edgar, then of the county,
Yeah,
both
see if
about,
John can switch us with,
yeah, about the timing and, you know, the
I mean,
specific
it's a big,
project, what they're doing.
it's a, they keep it to county roads for a reason. Not, I understand Highway H is a county road, Fredonia Avenue is a highway, the county road. But you're coming through municipality, you're coming past homes. There's gonna be so much dust, you're not gonna be able to open your windows for a week.
Yeah.
It's gonna be terrible. We think we have bad phone calls and social media now. It's gonna be 10 times worse.
They did all of Wabaca, last summer and did the same thing, and it was, yeah, it was not fun. So, I agree.
So is this punishment for us for, I'm just kidding. So,
do you think John would move it?
I can ask.
You know,
Just tell him.
it's a substantial reason. I mean, it's a good reason.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, certainly if it's gonna interfere with an event that we're gonna be having, you know,
Yeah, do it the week after, you know,
Right.
we'll put up with it.
but
And that whole week is,
Yeah.
we've got music in the park, we've got
Mhm.
Yeah.
coming through to set up.
yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. I would much rather I'd much rather do a different method and I would much rather move it. So,
So to just keep that in the vein of items for future consideration, maybe you guys could check in with John and then provide the board
Yep.
his response at the next meeting.
and then I guess the only other thing that I'm going to add is at the next meeting, don't forget Ellers will be presenting an update on the TID to show us where we're at and, present what we need left to make it go. So,
And so will Cruise Check Construction, they'll be here as well to give you guys an update on their work in the industrial park.
excellent.
Speaking of next meeting, I should just give you guys all a heads up that we are in the window of baby time for me and my family. So in case you don't see me in next meeting, that might be why. In addition, I believe our clerk is also absent. I believe, is Melissa also gone?
So that's her first that's her
Is-
first full week back in the office.
Okay,
My understanding is that she anticipates being able to attend.
okay.
Um,
So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up in case there isn't staff presence, and that might be why. Maybe Eric will have to hold down the fort here, so.
That'll be fine.
and we'll do everything we can to prep you guys in advance. I know we can't control babies and my situation is
And I'm
outside
not
of my
having a baby,
control as
so.
well.
You're
It was just
hilarious.
bad timing.
We will be okay.
We'll be good.
Yep. All right.
We will miss you guys.
Yeah, but we'll be figured out. Yeah.
We've been through that kind of thing before.
I was saying.
Yeah, but
Not,
some of-
Really?
yeah,
you don't want to do it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'll also mention that we did have our meeting to adjourn the Board of Review today, so that will be on the 25th of June is when we will actually hear anybody's cases, so.
Yeah, and I'll just say the open book is on May 15th. We have 2 reservations so far from residents who wish to speak to the assessor.
All right, anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn.
That was,
Second.
you didn't answer my question.
I kind of did. I don't care.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're out of here. 8:26.
Good job.
We'll get to dinner.
Courtney has this, there might be a problem that they know that I'm thinking about
I think I will be.
it. That time,
That's one of my favorites.
7 would be better.
Just kind of.